Good morning, Energy Express friends. Are you ready for a fun day? Thanks for sticking around and not leafing us. Get it? Leaf? It's a foliage joke. And speaking of leaves, let's go over to our friend Dave McGill to learn more about leaves.
Hi. Did you know that the tallest living things on planet Earth are trees? It's true. The tallest tree in the world is a coast redwood. It's 380 feet tall. And there are many species around the world that grow over 300 feet tall. That's taller than the Statue of Liberty. You know what's at the very tippy top of those trees? Leaves. And today I'm going to tell you about leaves, maybe in a way you haven't been thinking about them before. We want to take a look at trees so we appreciate their diversity, their form, their colors, and how we can look at leaves in a way to distinguish one tree from another just by the leaves. So let's go. I'm here at a park near my neighborhood, and there's lots of tall trees whose leaves are way high up in the air, not so easy to get to. But around the edge, they come down low to the ground. So we'll go take a look at those. Most of the trees here in West Virginia are like this little yellow poplar. They have wide leaves. We call them broadleaf trees, and they drop their leaves in fall. Even though most of our trees are broadleaved and drop their leaves in fall, we do have some evergreens, like this eastern white pine. We'll talk about these leaves a little later. One of the first things you might notice when you look at leaves is that they have veins. These veins are used by the tree to transport sugars that are made in the leaf through a process called photosynthesis out into the rest of the tree to feed the rest of the tree, and it brings water and nutrients up into the leaf as well for the leaf's benefit. Okay, here is a little sassafras leaf, and in order to appreciate the diversity of leaves, we really first need to know what are all the parts of the leaf. So we're going to take a look here, and this is a simple leaf because this large part down here, called the blade, a simple leaf only has a single blade. This is the blade. This little part down here, the stalk, is called the petiole. P-E-T-I-O-L-E, petiole. Petiole. And then up at the tip, this is the apex of the leaf, the apex. And then the sides are called the margin. Margin. So that's basically it for a simple leaf. Again, a simple leaf is made of just one single blade and a little stalk called the petiole. This leaf is a leaf from the black locust tree. It's a little more complex. It's a single leaf, even though it may look like 14 little leaves on a twig. It's called a compound leaf. And we say this is compound kind of like a feather with little leaflets on each side. So here are the parts to this compound leaf. We still have the little stalk at the base down here, the petiole, but instead of a single blade, we have a whole bunch of little leaflets. So these are leaflets. Leaflets. And then this central stalk here is called a rachis. Rachis. It looks like rachis, but we pronounce it rachis. And so that is a compound leaf. Here's another compound leaf. This leaf comes from the shagbark hickory tree. And if you take a close look at these leaflets, or the edge of the leaflet, or the margin as we called it, you can see it has tiny little sawtooth-like teeth. Other leaves, like this leaf from a flowering dogwood, has a smoother edge, or margin as we called it. Some leaves, like this sassafras leaf, can be very smooth. Some leaves, like the slippery elm, are very hairy. And when you rub your fingers on it, it feels like it's sandpaper. Some trees have lobed leaves. A lobe is just a part of the blade that seems to be going away from the rest of the blade. Like in this northern red oak, you can see the lobe here comes away from the blade. It also has this little space in here, and that is called a sinus. There's the sinus, it's the absence of the blade, and here is a lobe. Red oaks all have little pins at the end of their lobes. The leaf of the white oak has rounded lobes and little rounded thin sinuses. Sometimes it's important to look at the color of the leaf. On the top surface of this white oak, it's very dark green, but on the underside, it's much lighter. These leaves of the black oak are arranged in an alternating pattern up the twig. Here's the twig, here are the leaves, one on this side, then you have to go up the stem and over to the other side to see the next closest leaf, and so forth all the way up to the tip, so they alternate up the little twig. The sugar maple has a different leaf arrangement. These leaves are arranged opposite one another. Here's the twig, and here's a leaf on this side, and right across the twig opposite from this one is another leaf. So we say that the sugar maple has opposite leaf arrangement. You can see how each one of these leaves is across from another leaf. Now that we've taken a look at some leaves from broadleaf trees and all the features that we find on those leaves, let's take a look at evergreens. Some of these evergreens we see here in West Virginia, like this Norway spruce, are also called conifers because they are cone-bearing. Conifers are cone-bearing. Here are the cones of the Norway spruce. Many of the evergreens here in West Virginia have needle-like leaves, like this eastern white pine. There's two types of needles you can see here. Here are the new needles of this year, and here are needles from last year. If you take a look at these little clumps, you can see that the white pine, eastern white pine, has 5 needles per clump. That's one of the first things we do when we see a pine, count how many needles per clump. This twig from an Austrian black pine that we find planted in landscape plantings has big, thick needles, and look, it only has 2 needles per clump, but it's much thicker than the eastern white pine. The leaves of the Norway spruce tree are also like little needles, but there's only one connected to the stem. They're much shorter, and if you roll them in your fingers, you can feel that they have 4 sides and a very sharp little point. Some evergreen needles are very flat, like this little eastern hemlock. Eastern hemlock's a neat one because it's one of those trees that has darker green leaves above, but underneath it's very light. You have to look very close to see the leaves of this evergreen. This one's called Arbor Vitae, which means tree of life. It's also called northern white cedar. If you look through a microscope at these twigs, you'll see the leaves are scale-like, looking more like a snake or lizard than a real tree leaf. So now that we've studied all of the features of these leaves, we can compare them. So here are 2 leaves that kind of are shaped the same. One's bigger than the other, but be careful, that doesn't always happen that way. I just pulled these from a tree nearby, This one was in the shade, this one was in the sun. It grew better. But they're all kind of shaped the same. But this one is a red maple. And why is that? Because remember, the edge, the leaf margin, this one has little sawtooth teeth on it. This one, the sugar maple, is smooth on the margin. It can be difficult sometimes to tell two leaves apart. Like these two. They're pretty similar. They have lobes, and they have big teeth around the margin. But this one has fewer, doesn't it? And it's a little darker green. That helps sometimes. And if you look real closely, you can see this one's really hairy underneath. This one is very smooth. This is the sugar maple again, and this is a sycamore. It's not too common that tree leaves look different on the same tree, but sometimes it happens. Like this sassafras. Sassafras has 4 different shapes of leaves. The left mitten, the right mitten, the egg, and the ghost. Pretty cool. So there you have it, tree leaves. Hopefully you've learned a lot about leaves and all their shapes and sizes and types and forms. And it's really the first step in tree identification. Leaves aren't the only feature you'll need to know about trees to be able to identify them, but it's a really important first step. Now hopefully you can go and share that with your friends and family and tell them how fortunate we are here in West Virginia to have such a wide variety of trees.
Thanks, Dave. That was a lot of fun. Now let's jump back over to Dave and read Leaf Jumpers. Dave?
I'm going to read you a book today called Leaf Jumpers, and it's by Carol Gerber with lots of wonderful drawings by Leslie Evans. So here we go, Leaf Jumpers. We watch a soft wind shake the trees. It lifts the leaves and sets them free. Released, they flutter through the air, drifting downward gracefully. We run to catch the falling leaves. We smell their smells and touch their veins. Bright jewels from the crowns of trees, we trace their shapes, we say their names. Red maple's broad and pointed leaves, flame bright and vivid as a match. The sugar maple's leaves are orange, like pumpkins in a pumpkin patch. Stubby fingers brown as dirt reach from the slender white oak leaf. The basswood's glowing yellow leaves are shaped like hearts with little teeth. The birch leaf, oval as an egg, falls sunny side upon the ground. Willow leaves turn yellow-green and hang from limbs that all curve down. The ginkgo's wavy golden leaf is shaped just like a little fan. The broad leaf of the sycamore is yellow with a coat of tan. We toss the bright leaves in the air, oranges, yellows, golds, and reds. We dance together as they fall. Leaf hats settle on our heads. We clap with joy, we love the leaves. We rake a glowing golden heap. Then holding hands, we jump into a pile of colors 3 feet deep. Wow. And that's the end. It ends with a whole bunch of little leaves that they've just talked about. Ginkgos, white oaks, basswoods, willows, birch, red maple, sugar maple, sycamore. And they tell us about the leaf and the leaf changing color. I'll read to you quickly here. Leaves that turn bright colors in the autumns were green during the spring and summer. During those seasons, the green leaves make food for the tree from water, air, and sunshine. The tree food made in the leaves is a kind of sugar that keeps the leaves alive and helps the tree to grow. In the fall, the weather turns colder. There is not enough sunshine and rain for the leaves to make food for the tree. Their job is done and the tree stops growing. It has no further use for its leaves, so they begin to die. Then something beautiful happens. The leaves change colors. Out come the yellow and the orange hues that during spring and summer were covered by shades of green. Other changes in the leaves make the red and brown colors come out too. The leaves containing most of the stored food turn the brightest colors before they fall to the ground. So, neat book about leaves and leaf jumpers by Carol Gerber.
Next up, we read Moody Cow Meditates and Make Mood Jars with Jenny and Audra.
Hi, I'm Jenny.
Hi, I'm Audra.
And today we're going to make mood jars after we read the book Moody Cow Meditates by Carrie Lee McLean. Okay, Audra, you ready? My name is Moody Cow. It used to be Peter, but now it's Moody Cow. It all started one stupid, rotten day when everything went wrong. First, I had a bad dream. A very bad dream, which involved a great three-eyed alien. What a rotten way to wake up. Mom. I wanted to find my mom and tell her about the giant green-eyed alien, but I couldn't find her anywhere. So I admit I was in a bad mood to begin with, but then I couldn't find my skateboard. Turned out my sister had borrowed it. Daisy, stop drawing on my skateboard. Okay, maybe I overreacted when I pulled her tail, but it was a brand new skateboard. Then Daisy had to get me back by tripping me on the stairs. What a monster! That made me mad. So mad, I cut her doll's hair off on purpose. Of course, I got in trouble after that, which made me miss the bus. I had to ride my bike all the way to school in the snow. That made me really mad. On the way home from school, I hit a snowbank and scraped my knee. There was blood everywhere. The rest of the way, I couldn't stop thinking about my rotten day, that my rotten day was really Daisy's fault. She put me in a bad mood by drawing on my brand new skateboard. Ow, ow. Maybe it was the great three-eyed alien's fault for giving me bad dreams. Whatever. I was so mad I couldn't see straight. Oh, I think I broke my nose. And when I turned into our driveway, I crashed right into my dad's truck. Well, you can understand that with a bloody knee and a banged up nose, I was madder than ever. Super mad. Have you ever been super mad?
Yes.
Yes. Me too. I can't take it anymore. What's happening to the cow in that picture? Does he look super, super mad?
Yes.
How can you tell?
Because he is really mad and he is having something coming out of his ears.
Like steam? Is his head on fire?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some clues, aren't they?
Yes.
And then I did something crazy. I picked up my baseball and I threw it right through the window on purpose. Unfortunately, my mom saw the whole thing. What on earth do you think you're doing? She yelled. Have you lost your mind? She came outside and took one look at my super mad, rotten day face, and I guess she felt sorry for me. Aw, are you a little moody cow? Have you ever been a little moody cow?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This morning.
This morning, moody cow, moody cow, moody cow. Of course, my little sister Daisy heard her say that. She started shouting, Moody cow, Peter is a moody cow. And the next thing I knew, all the kids in the neighborhood had joined in. "We need grandfather," Mom said, and picked up the phone. Pretty soon, my grandfather was sitting in the sunroom on a meditation cushion. I got to sit on one too. "I hear they're calling you Moody Cow," Grandfather said and smiled. I couldn't help smiling back a little. I guess Moody Cow was kind of a funny name. "See this?" he asked as he pointed to a jar of water. "This is your mind." Do we have a jar of water here? We do.
Yes.
Yeah. "This is your mind. And these," and he held out a little dish of sparkles, "are your angry thoughts." Do we have some angry thoughts?
Yes.
We do have some angry thoughts. A whole jar full of them. "That," I said, "is a jar of water, and those are Daisy's fairy dust sparkles." "Come on, Mr. Moody Cow, work with me here. Now, what we're going to do is put a pinch of sparkles for every angry thought you've had. Then we're going to sit here until they've all settled down to the bottom. By the time the water is clear again, your anger will have settled down too." "It won't work," I told him. "Let's just see," he said. I took a pinch of sparkles and dropped it into the water. "Which angry thought was that?" Grandfather asked. "That was the three-headed alien. It tried to gobble me up last night." "Oh, I see. Rotten way to start the day. Okay, what else?" I put another pinch in for the next angry thought. "This is me having to clean the toilet for a whole month for breaking the window. I hate cleaning the toilet." "Me too. What else?" I put in one more pinch of sparkles and said, "This is Daisy drawing on my brand new skateboard with a marker." "Oh dear, she did that?" Grandfather sighed. "Okay, what else?" "This pinch is for when I missed the bus and had to ride my bike to school in the snow." "You can ride a bike through snow?" Grandfather asked. "I have good tires." "Anything else?" "On my way home, I scraped my knee and I was so mad I crashed into Dad's truck. I think I broke my nose." "Ouch," Grandfather said. "That must have hurt." "It did. Then I picked up my baseball and threw it through the window on purpose." "Wow, you should put in a double pinch for that one. I guess you really did have a Moody Cow day." "I sure did." "Is that all?" Grandfather asked. "Yeah, but that's a lot." "It sure is." Grandfather put a lid on the jar and shook it up real good. "This jar is your mind right now," he said. "Angry thoughts bouncing all over the place." Can you shake up your Moody jar there, Audra? Do we have, look at it going all over the place. Yeah. Now, let's see what happens when we let our angry thoughts settle down, Grandfather said, putting the mind jar in front of me. Just sit quietly and see what happens. I sat up real straight and I got to ring the gong. Bong! I sat watching all my angry thoughts swirl around like crazy in the jar. A few thoughts slowed down and sank to the bottom, and then a few more, and a few more. It was so still I could feel my heart beating. It was so quiet I could hear my breath going in and out, in and out. I felt a ray of golden sunshine coming through the window. It warmed my back and started to melt away the last of my anger. Finally, Grandfather rang the gong to end the meditation. He leaned over to whisper in my ear, "Okay, this part is important. Don't move until you can't hear the sound of the gong anymore." I cocked my head, listening closely. Bong! The ringing got softer and softer and softer until I couldn't hear it at all. Grandfather smiled and held up the jar. Well, look at this. All the sparkles have settled down, he said. And your angry thoughts have too, I said. And my angry thoughts have too, I said. I mean, I guess if I think about it, I could get mad again. That's probably true, he said. But we have to work pretty hard to settle them down. Let's not stir them all up again. I laughed for the first time that day. That thing is cool, I said. Can I keep it? Sure, said Grandfather. He smiled and handed me the jar and the dish of sparkles. A few minutes each day keeps the Moody cow away. I laughed again. Thanks, Grandfather. Can we do this again tomorrow? Of course. Let's try to do this together every day. I went to my room and I put the mine jar by my bed in case the three-eyed alien ever comes back. Now it's been 2 whole weeks and I haven't had one Moody cow day. But I've decided to keep the name anyway. I kind of like it. The end. Audra, are you ready to make a mine jar?
Yeah.
So that you aren't a Moody cow? So we have a old food jar here that we filled with water. And we put a few drops of clear liquid soap in there. And we're going to add some sparkles for different things that make us angry or sad. What do you notice is happening in there, Audra?
All the sparkles are going down to the bottom.
They are. Some of them are on the top, but some are in the bottom. So anything else that you want to add in? Is that enough sparkles? Do you want to add some more? Okay. Oh, lots and lots. Okay, that's plenty. Thank you. And then with a helper, an adult helper, you want to screw that lid on really tight because we don't want to make a mess. That might make us angry or sad too, right? So you want to make sure that jar's on really tight. And then we're going to give it a swirl. Does your mind ever feel like that when you're mad or sad or angry? Mine too. Okay. And then we kind of watch it, just like the Moody cow. Do you want to get the other jar? So whenever we're sad or we're mad or angry, we can shake it up, and this is kind of like our mind, and then we can watch it. And we can sit very quietly while it settles down and just take deep breaths, and we focus on things that we can control. I hope that you can find some items at home to make yourself your own Moody jar so that whenever you're angry or sad or jealous or mad, that you can use it as a way to calm down and really refocus your mind and feel better about the situation. Have a great day.
Hey Energy Express friends, did you have a fun day? I know I did. Well, we'll see you again soon for more fun and more activities. Have a good one. Bye-bye.